All right. It's been a long time. You should have left me. Happy Monday, and welcome to another Money Mondays. I'm Kamari Ellis, an investment advisor. My right-hand man, my partner in money, Eddie Colson, is here today. We're going to talk about a couple things, but mainly we want to talk about real estate tonight, Real Estate 101. We took a couple weeks off. We had some things to do. Eddie and both of us had some money to make, so we couldn't be here. We apologize. We missed you all, but now we're back. Are we back, Eddie, or is this in Memorex? Oh, I think I'm showing my age. You remember that? You remember that commercial? Was it live or was it Memorex?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't remember that. Is it live or is it Memorex? All right, I'll have to show you the YouTube clip. It's out there somewhere.
Okay. All right.
So how you been, Eddie?
I've been good, man. Just, trying to get some things closed, trying to get some more things on the contract. Regular hustle, man. Regular hustle.
Man, you looking a little different, man. Like, you looking like you got some new shine or something. Like you closed on a couple of deals. You got that new money swagger.
Yeah, man. I got some stuff that that's in the escrow right now. I got some stuff that I closed. So
Okay. All right. So you brought up the word escrow. So you know that's going to be something you have to explain a little bit later on when we get into the mix of things.
Yep.
But I saw you got a new property you getting ready to sell in Baltimore.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm always selling properties. Every once in a while I post it on Facebook. If it doesn't get sold already.
Every once in a while. Just to give everybody a little backstory, Eddie is always getting on me like, Kamari, you never share what you're doing. You never share what you're doing. But y'all just heard him say every once in a while I share what I got going on. On a low, Eddie's a young black billionaire. Hey, that's good, man. Congratulations. All right, so you don't forget what we do. How was your weekend?
Oh man,
do anything fun?
I actually went to a concert. I went to one of my friend's concert. He's a local singer in Baltimore, up and coming. I think he's gonna go big.
Wait a minute, you went to a concert?
Oh yeah,
it was at a club, at a bar, at a theater venue. I mean, this is the most action I think I've heard you have ever.
Well, it was one of my friends. One of my friends is a singer, and he's like a local singer in Baltimore. There's this place called Living Well Center in Baltimore. It's very Afrocentric in that area, and it was a Donny Hathaway type of it was a Donny Hathaway
tribute.
Tribute. There you go. Nothing but Donny Hathaway song. And
is there a recording of this? Is it on YouTube anywhere?
It should be on Snapchat.
Not on Snapchat, man. Listen, I'm too old to be on Snapchat.
Yeah, that's why I put it on.
That's what you put it on Snapchat, so the old people can
download it and then send it to you if you want. I mean, but he did a good job.
Okay, yeah. Well, Donny Hathaway is one of my favorites. So, did you know about Donny Hathaway before you went and saw?
I mean, some songs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was one of those things where I heard the song. I was like, oh yeah, I know that song. You know what I mean?
All right.
I heard that on the commercial.
All right, that works. Yeah. So is it me or I'm not seeing anybody over in the chat area?
Yeah, man, we've been away for too long.
Okay, I was wondering if Blab maybe made some changes. You know, Blab was always making some changes.
Yeah, when I got in, it was asking me like business, comedy. I'm like, what are you talking about?
All right, well, that's cool. We're here for the love anyway. So we'll be here. If nobody's here or if a million people are here. So let's jump into it. Today was a very, very interesting day in the market. If you all don't know, I'm usually the stock guy. I talk about what's going on in the market. And one thing that happened today is Google announced earnings. And it looks like Google, or rather Alphabet, is still making money. Matter of fact, Alphabet, because Google changed the name to Alphabet, so now they house all the Google projects. So things like Google Search, YouTube, Google Ventures, and a couple other their companies, they are all called Alphabet now. So it's like one big umbrella company. But they are now the most valuable company in the world,
Hmm.
edging out Apple. Apple held the spot for quite some time, but they did about 3.6 billion in income. So that's definitely not nothing to sneeze at. And when I say 3.6 billion in income, that is for the quarter, not for the whole year. So those numbers are pretty significant. Eddie, what do you think about Google? Or excuse me, Alphabet?
I mean, I definitely saw where it had like the different alphabets. I mean, it's like $1,000 a share, right?
It's like 770.
770. I
Yes.
couldn't remember. Don't they have like multiple different stocks or
They have
stocks?
they have a couple of different what they call stock classes.
Okay.
But the one that's 770, actually, I guess I should either do a YouTube or maybe we can do it on here, talking about different stock classes and what they represent. Because I know a lot of times people are confused by them. Different companies have them. Berkshire Hathaway has different stocks. They have a stock, a B stock, and basically what it is you get different rights.
Hmm.
So the A shares usually have the most amount of rights. They get the most amount of votes usually. B shares a lot of times don't have any voting rights, or either they have a reduced amount of voting rights. So let's say you have one share of, I don't know, let's say Berkshire Hathaway, and you get one full vote. If you have a B share, you might only have 50% of a vote. So it gets a little complicated, a little tricky, but it's still good. But
I use
Alphabet,
Google for just about everything in my business. I mean, Google Voice, Gmail, the Google Docs. I put
yeah,
up.
Google Docs is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I use Google for just about everything, so I would not be surprised. That they're the number one in the world because they're taking over on everything, even social media. They have Google Plus,
Google Plus sucks. Sorry, but
but
that's
it's good for ranking and stuff like that. So, like, if you have
so they say.
ah,
You use it?
yeah,
Okay.
it works.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Well, overall market today, Dow Jones was mixed. It was down just a little bit, 0.1%. Stock the S&P 500 was down 0.04%, and so everybody kind of closed out in the red. Oil was, I believe, oil was. Let me pull that up. Oil was up today. Let me pull that up real quick.
Every time we talk about oil, I'm just like, oh yeah.
Why do you say, "Oh yeah," about oil?
I have some oil.
You have some oil.
Yeah.
What do you mean by you have some oil?
Basically, I got a couple gallons of them. No,
Okay.
no.
You took delivery.
No, I do. I own some oil shares. I guess that's that.
And which company?
I don't know. I think I just have the commodity.
Okay. So you brought the ETF?
Yeah. I believe.
Yeah, you probably brought the ETF. Okay. Well, oil was down today, actually. I thought I saw it was up. But oil was down today. Closed at 31.37, down almost 0.75%. Gold actually was up today. That closed at 11.29. So that's pretty surprising. And we're seeing natural gas was also down. Big reason crude and natural gas are down, oil and natural gas are down, is because we've basically had a very mild winter. I mean, I think we just got walloped with about 3 feet of snow on the East Coast, but for the most part, we're having like 60-degree days. So nobody's really turning on their heat that much, which is, a good thing in terms of the end user or the consumer. They get to keep more money in their pocket. I read a report stating that the average driver has saved about $1,000 on gasoline alone over these last couple of months as oil and gasoline have declined. So that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing.
Cool.
Eddie, you seen anything interesting going on around the world in terms of real estate?
Well, in my local marketplace, there are some good things going on in Baltimore. I think Baltimore is the place to invest. right now, for buy and hold investors. There are places like certain zip codes like 21223 where I have a rental.
And what does that mean? 21223. What is that?
21223 is the zip code. It's a zip code.
I know it's a zip code, Eddie, but is it a nice area? Is it a well-to-do area? Is it a not so well-to-do area?
It's an area that was not so nice at one point, but they're redeveloping the area. So the way that it works in certain places in Baltimore is very block by block. So you may have a block that's right next to another block that has nothing but board ups, but that one particular block that's next to that block with board ups is selling $300,000 homes. So, but what they do is they go over one block, at a time. But I saw that you posted this not too long ago. Hogan actually is starting to tear down some properties and just redevelop them.
Who's that?
The governor of Maryland.
Okay.
So
Right.
he's there's I mean to be honest with you, there's been a lot of speculation of redeveloping Baltimore before I was even born. You know what I mean? So I would not advise being a real estate investor who invests off of speculation. But when it comes with buying holes, if you're seeing things in that one block, stay on that block that's closer to where the development is happening. Buy some properties for like 5,000, 10,000, and then eventually, if you're cash flowing them out next year, they may be worth 300,000. So
Uh,
that's the reality of Baltimore at the moment.
so you're seeing it's happening that fast. So one year you buy something for 5,000. Are you investing money into it in terms of rehab, or is it just a buy and hold kind of deal with nothing done to it?
Well, let's do something that that happened to me. The property I'm purchasing is on a street called Holland Street, right? I last year I sold a property on Holland Street to a buy and hold investor, a friend of mine, and I sold it to him for 30. I sold it to him for 30,000, and houses were selling for like 20 to 30 in that area, right? Now houses are selling for around 100,000 on that same block. I'm purchasing a property for 60,000 on that block. Houses are selling for 100,000 on that block. This was in last year they were selling for 30 to 40. You know what I mean? So it's down the street they're selling for 200, 300 if it's renovated. You know what I mean? Like luxury type renovation. But
Okay.
just imagine if you have a buy and hold property and is not and you're not putting that much work into it and you're renting it out. And if you didn't want to put any work at all, you can sell it to a rehabber for 100,000.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Okay. Anything else interesting going on in the world of real estate?
no, no, no. I mean, right now I've been focusing on Baltimore.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Well, let's move on to our main segment of the evening, Real Estate 101, rather Real Estate Investing 101. Eddie's going to give us a great detailed guide for the average person who has no experience in real estate investing. And so he's going to tell like an idiot like myself how to go about getting into the game, because he's been trying to get me into the game for a minute now. But I like stop. Let's see if he can make a convincing argument to say, Kamari, it's really this easy. You too, my friend, can do this. All right. So Eddie, I mean, what's step one? What should someone be thinking about if they want to get into real estate investing?
First things first, nothing's easy, but nothing is as hard as rocket science. Even rocket science isn't that hard.
You always
But
trying to take my jokes, man.
but here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? When it comes to real estate investing, I think it all starts with having a CRM or being organized with your leads. When it comes
Well,
with
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's back up. Why, if you're real estate investing, why do you need leads? Are you selling? I mean, leads is something you normally have when you're trying to sell, stuff to people. Why do you?
so when you're buying properties, you're negotiating, and you're looking for motivated sellers. So let's just make it real simple. So as an investor, what you're looking for is you're looking for motivated sellers, people who need to sell their house quickly and in a hurry, and you're looking to buy it at a discounted price. So the formula usually is 75% of the ARV. ARV means average retail value. Average retail value means how much houses are selling for in the area retail. Now, this is a formula mainly for rehabbers, but let's just stick to this for right now. So ARV, let's say it's 100,000, right? Let's say houses are being sold in an area rehabbed for 100,000 on the MLS through a realtor with people who are looking to buy properties to live in. So you as an investor, you're gonna buy at 70 to 75% of that ARV minus the repairs. So let's say that the houses are worth 100,000. You're buying it at 70, and then let's say that the repairs are 20,000. So now your purchase price is 50,000, right? So if your purchase price is 50,000, you then give that seller that $50,000. Then you buy the property, you fix it up, and then you list it for 120, 140, 150. But you're at least expecting to make 100,000, right? And that's what most rehabbers do.
Okay, so that's flipping. All right. Okay.
There's another thing where you're a landlord. Landlords typically buy sometimes at 80%. Everybody has different things, but typically it's 80% of the average retail value. Some people are willing to do a little bit more because they're holding on to it longer. So, or if you're in an area that's not as like cut and dry where it's rehab type houses in the area, it may be more so on how quickly do you want your money back. So you may say 50,000 altogether with the acquisition and the purchase price altogether. So that's investing number two. So you have like a buy and hold situation when you have a rehab situation. The third is what I do mostly, and it's called wholesaling. So wholesaling is when you do the exact same formula, but then you take away $10,000, $5,000. So you do the same formula, 70 to 75% of the ARV minus the repairs, but now you're taking away your fee. You're taking away $10,000 as well too. So if the houses are selling for 100,000 in the area, and you're buying it at 70% minus the repairs, so that's 50,000, and then you're minusing your wholesale fee, which usually people do $10,000. So then you're offering 40,000, and then when you get it under contract for 40 to 45, however much you get it, then you'll sell it for 52, 55, or best offer, and then your ultimate goal is to at least sell it for 50.
Okay, so we basically have three forms of investing, and this is all for the individual investor. This isn't for real estate funds or any kind of commercial. And Eddie, I'm assuming this is all residential investing as well.
This is all residential.
Okay. So the first form of investing you have is rehab or flipping, where you find a home that's a little depressed, might need some work. Guy may have some skills with a hammer and nail. He can come along and fix it up, or he can spend the money and hire a contractor to do the work, right? Try to buy it at a discount, fix it up, sell it at a profit. Is that correct?
Exactly. Now,
okay. Second form we have is buy and hold or renter, being a renter. Mm-hmm. You may buy a little bit more because you're looking for the cash flow of the property, because I know you say cash flowing. So cash flowing means, generating money, positive cash flow, generating a profit. And you're looking to hold that for the long term. Usually, I'm assuming more than 10 years. Is that safe to assume, Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, your objective is to get it free and clear.
Okay, so basically, you're trying to, when you're a landlord or a renter, you're trying to basically have your tenants pay down your home, and you build up equity in it, but you're using their money to pay it down, right?
Exactly. You wanna get your money back. So the point is that you can have a spreadsheet. I have an actual calculation spreadsheet where I type in all the numbers, see how long I have to hold it before I get my money back. But then when I get my money back, my I'm hoping that houses will be appreciating at the same time. So not only am I building equity, but there's also appreciation of the property. So if houses are, and you only invest in areas where there is appreciation. So if it's a decline, you don't invest.
Okay. And the last form of investing is wholesaling,
Wholesale.
which is basically, I guess you could work with a rehabber or a rental person. And you're kind of like being that scout for them and finding the property and kind of doing the legwork and the grunt work and getting it under contract. And then you sell it to a rehabber or person who's looking to do long-term buy and hold, right?
Exactly. I mean, now there are people who only wholesale. There are people who only rehab or only landlord. But typically, if you're going after your own leads, you're going to have more properties than you can actually purchase. You know what I mean? You're going to get more properties than you can actually purchase. So if you're going after deals all the time and you have 4 properties on the contract, you may only have the funds or the ability or the manpower to close on 2 properties.
Okay, so let's back up for a minute because this is, I think, key. Do you have to do this full time? Can you do it part time? Can you do it on weekends? I mean, how active? How much time do you have to put into this to be successful?
The cool thing about it is real estate is very flexible. You can do it full time, you can do it part time, however you want to do it. Real estate is a team type of sport. So in the end of the day, to really be successful, you really want to build a team anyway. So if you're building a team, then you may not have to actually be in it all the time. I mean, I have a ton of partners who actually go and put money towards looking for leads. And then when they look for leads, they bring them to me and I close them. But the thing is that they're not able to actually negotiate. They're not able to go out and look at the properties because they have a 9 to 5. But they're still closing on deals because of me, because I'm part of their team.
So what do you guys share a percentage? You work out a percentage and you share that when you do a deal, or?
Correct. We usually do 50-50.
Okay. So you said you got to have a team. Now, the form of investing that you do normally is wholesaling. Why did you pick wholesaling?
Okay, so wholesaling is the fact that you're a wholesaler and you're purchasing properties, you're getting it on the contract. So you are the investor, you are buying properties, and wholesaling gives you the ability to actually get practice without any risk. So if your contract is right, if you have a good contract and you have good exit plans, then if you're putting things on the contract, and let's say you put things on the contract for too high. If you have an exit plan and you're able to get out of that contract, excuse me, then you won't have to make a mistake of purchasing a property for too high. The only risk that comes along with it is having buyers frown at you and say this isn't a good deal. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But if you're actually the buyer and you have to close on it, then you have to learn that lesson a lot harder. So I think that being a wholesaler teaches you how to be a good investor, and you kind of get an education by doing. So if you actually want to be a rehabber, if you actually want to be a landlord, then you'll have the know-how, at least know what's a good deal and what's not a good deal.
So you would recommend that everybody starts with wholesaling first?
I wouldn't necessarily say everybody. I don't think that everybody has the ability to be a wholesaler, but I do believe that it is something that is, I think that real estate is very broad. It's very broad and it can fit any type of personality and any type of situation. You have to look at your situation and figure out what can you do that best fits your situation. Because there are people out there that I don't want to be that guy that says, yes, start off with wholesaling. It may be good in theory, but not for everybody in every situation. Because wholesaling takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of hustle. It takes a lot of actually like legwork. And buyers, landlords, rehabbers, they don't have to do the same amount of legwork that wholesalers have to do. But at the same time, a wholesaler doesn't have the same amount of financial responsibility that they have to come through with as a buyer would. So I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I do believe that it is a good starting point for some people.
Okay, so you talked about the abilities of a wholesaler, but what are some of the things you need when you're a wholesaler?
Okay, so let's back up to the leads part, because I want to definitely want people to understand why you need to have leads and things of that nature. Okay, so when you're looking for a good property, what you're really looking for is a motivated seller. Especially if you're buying a property from a direct seller, you're looking for a motivated seller. Motivated seller could be someone who needs to sell their house really quickly because the repairs on the property is too expensive and they just don't have the money for it. They could have inherited a property and they live in Texas and they have a property in Baltimore and they don't have the ability to come down, and you know what I mean.
Right.
Sometimes everybody thinks that it's financially motivation, but it's not always financial motivation. You could have had a loved one who recently died and you just can't bear the pain and of knowing that your loved one died in this property and you just want to up and leave. That happens sometimes. So there's lots of different motivations of why, but the solution that you give to these people is a quick and fair closing. So you're closing very quickly, you're getting it done quick, and it's cash.
And so how do you find these motivated sellers?
So I mean, there's lots of different ways. There's absentees, where
When you say absentees, what does that mean?
absentee pretty much means that someone owns a property but they don't live in it. So if you have a property and you live in Texas and this property is in Philly, then it's an absentee. If you have a property that you inherited, and you just up and left, it's an absentee. As long as you're not living in that property, it's absentee.
Okay.
Now, absentees is public records. So you can go into your local tax assessment. Like Philly has a tax assessment, Baltimore has a tax assessment. All these different cities have a tax assessment. And you can look up properties and see who owns the property and what's the mailing address. So if the mailing address is different from the property address, then you know that they don't live in the property.
Okay. So that's one way. That's one way to find leads. So I guess you would look through a neighborhood and look at a house and say, "Hey, nobody lives there." I'm going to then go down to the county records or the courthouse and look to see if they have matching addresses for the mailing address and the actual billing address. Correct?
Exactly. So I mean that right there is a strategy that a lot of people use. It's called driving for dollars.
Driving for dollars.
Where you drive around and you look for properties. You see signs of motivation, high grass, bunch of newspapers in front of the house. I mean, the blinds is messed up, board up, whatever. But you look for these properties and then you write it down. You put it on your phone. You put it wherever. Sometimes you can record it. I have a recording on my phone that I record, because I drive a stick shift. So I'm like 123 Main Street. You know what I mean? And while I'm doing that, I'm also looking for sale by owner signs. They can be for rent by owner signs. There's lots of different ways. But if you're only seeing properties that are vacant, you then look those properties up on tax assessment. And then what you can do is you can formulate a mailing campaign where you mail out letters to these properties saying, "Hi, my name is Eddie Colson. I'm a local real estate investor who buys properties cash and can close in 2 weeks or less. Give me a call at this number now." You can give me a call, a text, leave your website, leave your email, lots of different ways. Make sure you have a call to action. But these are all sale tactics that can be applied to real estate. So if you were ever in sales, if you were ever doing anything like that, just apply it to real estate. And it works the same way as leads. So these people start calling you back. You need to have a CRM, some type of organized platform where you store your leads. Because guess what? When these people call you and you make your offer, they may say no the first time. They may say no the second time. They may say no the third time. But if you keep calling them and you follow up with them, then eventually they say yes.
So you had to make multiple offers sometimes to people on properties.
I just got off the phone with this lady, and I negotiated the heck out of it, and she wanted my contract to be all in her favor, and I had to do a lot of different negotiations just to talk to her about why it needed to stay in my favor, or I gave her two options. I said the contract could either stay in my favor and we keep it at 15K, and there was another property for 5K, or I can give you all the revisions of the contract that you want, and then we do $10,000, and the other property we do 3. So she said, I'll just do 15 to 5. But I've been talking to this lady for 5 months. But tomorrow I'm going to go put it on the contract. Well,
Okay.
but the thing is, Kamar, is that everybody knows that you're supposed to follow up. Everybody knows that, but no one does it. That's what when I first got started, and I know a lot of wholesalers that are new now. They don't follow up. And the biggest thing is that if you're not organized, it's kind of hard to follow up. If you have nothing but pen and paper, and you're unorganized and you're writing these things down, and then one day you're like, whatever happened to that one lady, man? I want to call her back, see what's up. And then you're looking for these leads and you can't find them because you're not organized and you don't have all your leads in one place. So that's why I say to start the building block, invest in a good CRM from the get-go, from the beginning.
What CRM do you use?
I use Podio. It's called Podio, Podio.
I've heard of that.
Yep.
Okay. Now, is that specific for real estate, or can it be used?
It could be used for anything, man.
Okay. All right. So once you get these leads into your system, into your CRM, do you key them in yourself? Do you have somebody else who does it? Can you do it from your phone? I mean, I want to be able to give folks a real blow-by-blow, step-by-step tutorial.
Well, I have a team. Okay, so I have a team of people who call. I have somebody who's calling leads right now. And I mean, you kind of eventually you want to build a team because realistically in a business, you yourself are not going to be able to perform at a high level all the time. So you want to balance it out and have somebody in your team doing things for you. But in the beginning, you're going to have to do it yourself, right? So before you actually start to outsource, you need to know how to do it yourself. So what you can do is you can set up Podio. If you're on the phone, if you absolutely have to write, then write it. But make sure that you put it into Podio immediately. I try to just put it into Podio while I'm on the phone. So I may have it on speaker, I may have it on my Bluetooth, and then while they're talking to me, I'll put it in my phone. I could put it in my laptop, whatever. But I have notes of what was said, how much was offered, how much they want. I have the entire thing: how many beds, how many baths, their address, their name, their last name, their email address.
And that's all on Podio.
All on Podio.
Okay.
So you you talk to these people, and you can assign yourself a task. You can say they can say, okay, I offered them $10,000 today. They said they would not go any lower than 22. So then you assign yourself a task to call them in a month. You call them in a month, they say, no, I still want 22. So you say, okay, I'll call them back in 2 months. Call them back in 2 months, and they're like, nah, I can do 17. You know what I mean?
Right. So you offer 15.
Maybe 17. Maybe 17 is good. Right. I mean, I always offer lower than what I actually can give. Like I give myself a $10,000 gap usually, if there's even room for a $10,000 gap. But I usually give myself a $10,000 gap. And what happens is I usually end up settling for 5.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, for all those who are new, I see we got a couple more folks in here. You are watching Money Mondays. Eddie Colson is the real estate guy who's talking, giving all his great, wonderful real estate investing information. And I am Kamari Ellis. We come on every Monday at 7:30. So from 7:30 to 8:30, we bring valuable money tips, usually in the vein of stock and investing, but we usually talk about all things money, and we talk about a lot of small business things, tips and jewels as well, because we know that's one of the best ways to make money. It's through a small business. Now, mind you, when we say small business, you can be an investor and be a business owner. But just keep that in mind as we keep going through and as you keep coming back to Watch Money Mondays. So, Eddie, you put everybody into the CRM. You follow up with them. What happens if nobody says yes?
If no one says yes, then what happens is you'll have a bunch of leads that you can follow up on.
So you just keep
You'll have a
following
bunch
up.
of Look, the name of real estate is leads. It's all about keeping your funnel full of leads. So if you're sending out mailings, if you're making calls, if you have web, SEO type marketing where you have a website where people are signing up on your website and looking to sell their house, you're building up leads. Somebody may not be motivated today, but they will be motivated tomorrow when time allows. And so what happens is you keep mailing, you keep looking for new opportunities, but you never stop calling those old leads. And then as a new one comes, you negotiate. But you keep going back to those old leads, and those old leads are going to get hot. They're going to get hot. Trust me.
Okay. Now, you said something earlier about you offer all cash closings. Excuse me. So does that mean you don't get a mortgage? What exactly does that mean?
Well, I mean, it all depends on how you finance. So there's lots of different ways that you can structure deals. There's lots of different ways you can finance deals. The biggest thing that you have to understand in the beginning of real estate investing as a beginner is how to look for motivated sellers and how to talk to sellers. Get comfortable with talking to sellers and get comfortable with marketing. Marketing is the biggest thing in the beginning. Structuring is the easiest. It's not the easiest part. I would say it is the easiest part. It's just not the easiest to understand at first. If you're not in real estate, then it may not be easy to understand how you can do owner financing subject to lease option, wholesale, and rehabbing. And there's so many different ways that you can do it. But the biggest thing is to get to these people first. You know what I mean? So you get to these people first, and then once you talk to them, then you can figure out how you can structure it. So when it comes with financing, if you're buying it cash, typically as a rehabber, when they're buying things cash, a lot of rehabbers are buying properties either with hard money loans, private money, or their own money. Now, the thing is, somebody may have the ability to close on a property with their own money, but it's not always the smartest thing. If you have $100,000 in your account and there's a property that you're buying for $50,000, you're buying it for $50,000. Now you're down to $50,000 in your account. And then you have another property that may be a better deal than the one you have under contract now. But let's say that one's $60,000. Are you going to tell that person that, oh, I'm sorry, I'm out of money? You know what I mean? So the thing is that most people will have private lenders, and it works the same thing as cash. Either private lender.
So as it starting out, how do you go about getting private lenders?
Private lenders is just as hard. Well, it's not hard, but private lenders is just like building your buyers list. Okay, so you build a buyers list. That's your assets, and use other people's money. That's your assets for a wholesaler. Your wholesaler is the bigger your list of buyers is. You're always building a list of buyers. That's the other side of wholesaling. You know, in order to sell it, you're building a list of buyers. But for rehabbers, their assets is building a list of private lenders. Okay, so you can find private lenders. I can call Kamari up and say, Kamari, I found this great deal, and I can make this amount of money. This is how much houses are selling for in the area. This is how much it needs and repairs. I can show you the formula on what I'm going to do to make this amount of money. I can give you 10 to 15% on your money. I just need $20,000. Now I may use your $20,000 as collateral for a hard money loan, or I may just use your $20,000 to purchase the whole property. So it all depends on how I can structure it. But at the end of the day, once I sell it, once I fix it, and then and then sell it on the market, I should make a good amount of money to where I can give you your $20,000 plus interest.
So do they get that? Do you write them a check, or is that handled like at settlement, or does that come out of escrow, so to speak?
Write who a check? The seller?
Yes. No, no,
So
no,
what
no,
you
no,
do,
no. I'm sorry. Your private lender.
your private lender. So what you do is there's more. That's a lot. That's a lot. So there's more. There's a mortgage deed. You have them sign a mortgage deed. You have them sign.
So
They're
basically,
gonna.
they take out a contract with you. They take out
Yeah.
a mortgage position on a property, and so once it
Exactly.
gets sold, they get made whole.
Yep. So you have what you call it, a mortgage deed. You have they're going to be a loss paid on the insurance. There's like three different contracts that they have. There's just a contract saying that you pay them back. You know, a promissory note. So once you have all that paperwork, you can send all of that paperwork, including the purchase and sale contract, and then have it with the title company.
Okay.
So God forbid if I'm in the middle of the rehab and I die or something like that, you now have the ability to foreclose on that property, just as a bank would.
And so does the title company actually file it with say the various county that you're doing a deal in, or do they just hold it until everything's done?
No, they file it. It's all filed. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's all recorded on public record. Just like if I was to look up like a house that you own, I can look up how much the mortgage was and who the lender is. So if it's Wells Fargo, Bank of America, whoever. It's the same exact thing with a rehab property. It's just that it's not Wells Fargo. It's Kamari Ellis.
Okay. Okay. So you use hard money or private lender to do the deal. Then let's back up. So you do because we're walking down the lane of wholesaler. So if you do private lender or hard money, you get the property on the contract, everything's recorded with the title company, and then you have to then find a investor to sell that to with approximately $10,000 of padding, so you can get your profit.
No. We were talking about rehabbing. So when it comes to private lending, you can use private lending for either rehabbing or landlording. As a wholesaler, you don't have to put up money at all. You don't have to. The only thing that you're doing is selling it to a landlord or a rehabber or just somebody who wants a property for cash.
But how do you? I thought you had to lock up all properties with some kind of earnest money when you're going to do a deal. So how do you?
You don't necessarily have to. I mean, you can give $10,000. You can give $10 as earnest money. You can give 1,000. You can do whatever. But at the end of the day, you're giving that money to the title company. And really, at the end of the day, the end buyer typically is the one who gives that deposit anyways. You can set up your contract to say whatever. Me and you can have whatever agreement. All we have to do is just put it on paper. So I can say that I'm going to give that earnest money in 14 days rather than today or tomorrow. And I can say that the earnest money is only going to be in escrow. And then in that 14 days, I could have sold that deal. And then the buyer could have brought that $2,000 earnest money deposit, which I usually require. I require my buyers to put down $2,000 non-refundable. Meanwhile, my deposit is refundable, and I usually put down 1,000. So
the deck stacked.
Yeah. So I mean, I 9 times out of 10, it's not my money that's coming out for the earnest money. Although I'm not opposed to it as long as it's a good deal.
Okay. So let's keep going down. Let's keep going down the road of wholesaling. So how do you got it all locked up? How do you find the investor to sell it to?
And actually finding a buyer is the easiest part. The hardest part is finding a seller. Finding buyers is the most easiest thing in the world. All you have to do is have a good deal. And once you have a good deal, you find out where investors are hanging out. Investors are hanging out at Baltimore. I keep saying Baltimore, right? Investors are hanging out at real estate investing clubs. There are clubs out there where real estate investors are hanging out, talking about strategies, talking about different deals that they're closing, talking about ways that they can generate money to do whatever that they're looking for. You can go to those places and find buyers, right? You can go to court. You can go to court where landlords are evicting their tenants, and you can find either sellers or buyers, right? Because there are tired landlords out there who don't want to be in the game anymore, and they just want to sell their house. But there's also landlords who will say, I don't care about having to evict a tenant. It's just part of the game. So you say, okay, cool. Are you looking for more properties to add to your portfolio? Yes, awesome. What's your name, your email, and your number? And I'll send you some deals.
Okay.
There's places like auctions where you see, that there's websites where you'll see where houses are being auctioned off. A ton of investors are just 20,000, 40,000, 60,000. you know? And you're saying, look, I have a property in the same area around the corner that I'm selling for $20,000, $10,000 less than this property that you're making an offer on right now. You can actually just go on Facebook. Finding buyers is not hard. It's finding the right deal.
So have you found buyers on Facebook?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
all you have to do,
you've done
all you
deals
have,
on Facebook.
oh yeah, all you have to do is find a couple of buyers, and then eventually their friends will start to, you know what I mean? Their friends will eventually become friends with you.
Okay. So,
You have friends that are stocks on Facebook, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And then all you guys hang out in different forums and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we do.
What do you think investors do? What do you think real estate investors do?
Got you.
They do
Got you.
okay.
Okay. So it's about 8:18. You're watching Money Mondays every Monday. I'm Kamari Ellis with Mr. Eddie Colson, the real estate guy, and we're talking real estate 101 today. Actually, right now we're on how to do wholesale real estate investing, since that's Eddie's specialty. So where would you say somebody, I don't know, let's use me. You've been using me all night. I've never wholesaled a deal in my life. Where do I start? Give me the blueprint.
I mean, I would say start with a mentor. I know that sounds cliche, but it's true. And the thing is that having a mentor doesn't necessarily mean a paid mentor. You can, and there are people out there who will mentor you, and they don't even realize that they're mentoring you. So just hang around investors, hang around wholesalers, hang around some people. Start going to some real estate investing clubs. That's a biggie. You start going to real estate investing clubs, you start to meet real estate investors, and then they start to teach you tricks. Just have conversations with them. So that's number one. Network and just build a good buyers list. Having a good buyers list, even though it's easy to find buyers, it makes it a lot easier if you can just email a deal and then you have offers like that being texted and emailed and called. As soon as you send it out. I can sell a deal in 24 hours as long as it's a good deal. The key is knowing that it's a good deal, though.
Right. All right. Well, I think we hit just about everything. Was there something that we didn't hit that you think we should be talking about, Eddie?
We didn't talk about buy and hold as much as we should have, because I think that is the biggest thing that you should be working towards.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Buy and hold. So
having rental property.
Having rental properties, or having like a mortgage note or something like that. I mean, every investor eventually wants to graduate to being a private lender. Every rehabber eventually wants to graduate to being a landlord. Every wholesaler eventually wants to graduate to being a rehabber. But the thing is that like cash flow and consistent money coming in is what most investors are striving for. So if you're buying a property, you have your active income and then you have your cash flow income. I wouldn't say passive because rentals is not passive, but it is something that's cash flow.
It can be passive.
It can be,
Right.
but
But you're saying typically it's not passive.
typically it's not. Typically it's not.
All right.
Now, if you're the lender on it, let's say that I do owner finance deals, but I usually do it from a buyer standpoint of the seller being the owner financer. But I would definitely, excuse me, excuse me, I would definitely do a deal where I'm the seller and I'm the owner financer. The reason being is that I don't have to deal with the rehabs at all. If it's vacant or if it's not vacant, no matter what, if there's a tenant inside or not, you're still going to pay me every single month, just like a mortgage would. And if you don't, then I foreclose and I can sell the property. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So, but cash flow is what you want to focus on. So most rehabbers, what they do is their strategy is that they fix a property and then sell it, and then with that money they buy one or two rentals, and then they do another rehab, and then they buy another rental, and then they do another rehab, and then they buy another rental, so forth and so forth. But the whole objective is to build up cash reserves so that they can buy more rentals. You have you have four, five, seven, 10 rental properties, and then you're cash flowing pretty good. If one of them isn't cash flowing, the other ones, will be doing pretty good. You can make a good amount of money with 10 properties.
Yeah, I met a guy the other day. Well, I already knew him, but he shared with me that he owns 17 units between here and various other states. And it was just kind of out of the blue that he shared it with me. But he says, I'm set for retirement. My cash flow is already here. My retirement check is already here. And say, God
I
bless
have
you.
a I have a friend who his strategy is he wholesales and he buy and hold, right? Same as me, but his whole strategy is usually he goes after people who have a portfolio of deals. And I worked with him on a couple of deals before. Don't you know that, like, if you have 10 rental properties that are worth like 30,000 and you still sell them for like 20,000, that's like $1 million sometimes, So the thing is that it doesn't take much, and the thing is you could be making a good amount of money on cash flow, but you still have that equity in that property. And if it's in a market that's appreciating, then you're winning in all three. You want to be winning in cash flow, equity, and appreciation. And that's the thing about rentals. That's the thing about rentals. See, rehabs is riskier because a rehab, especially if you're doing a hard money lender or if you're private money and things like that, it's all on reputation and stuff like that. And if you mess up one deal, then your reputation could be tarnished, and your private lenders could maybe not want to lend to you anymore. Hard money lenders may not want to lend to you anymore, and you're stuck with a property that you can't sell, and the hard money lenders over your back wanting you to pay a mortgage. But with rentals, it's a lot different because you actually have a tenant inside, or you're planning on getting a tenant inside, and you're renting it out, and you're building that cash flow on a regular basis, and then you can sell it later on.
Yeah, but in terms of risk, I would think rental is actually more risky, right?
No, I wouldn't say so. I would not say so.
What
I would say
you would have
I
to
would say
carry, you have to carry that, So let's say if you're doing a flip, right?
Mhm.
A flipper and a buy and hold, they both have to carry the mortgage, regardless. So
It depends. It depends on how you purchase the property. You could purchase it. Most people, most people want to purchase properties that are rentals with cash. If they're not buying it cash, then they're usually refinancing with a mortgage. Yes, but the thing is that if you're buying it the right way, you're buying it low enough to where there is some equity in the property. The thing is with the rehab property, if you're buying it low enough where there's equity in the property, but you spent a bunch of money trying to rehab it, and it's not rental type rehabs. Rental rehabs is carpet and paint and fixing things here and there. You know what I mean? Rehab is making it really nice, granite countertops, all this, you know what I mean, all this stuff that you're putting into it. And then those people who are buying properties to live in are a lot more pickier than somebody who's renting out a property. So you're looking to look for you and your newly wed wife. You're looking for a property. You're looking for the nicest property in the block. You're looking for a nice property that you can spend your life with. And it may sit on the market for 3, 4, 5, 10 months. You know what I mean? It could sit on the market for a while before you actually sell it. And meanwhile, you still have to pay that private lender. You still have to pay that hard money lender. Versus a mortgage with a bank, if you do it right, you're doing it. The mortgage is going to be $300 to $500, versus a hard money lender is like $1,000. You know what I mean?
Depending on the size of the deal.
Depending on the size of the deal, depending on and things like that. But the rehabs is definitely going to be a lot more than a rental type of rehab. 9 times out of 10.
Okay. So it is,
9 times out of 10.
so it's 8:27, Eddie. We're going to start ending the show on time. You said that to me last year, so we're going to keep rolling with that.
Last year, yeah, definitely.
So this is Real Estate Investing 101. We spent the large part of it talking about wholesaling, because that's actually what Eddie does it all, because he's a jack of all trades in terms of the real estate field. But we spent a lot of time on wholesaling. I'm curious to know, anybody out there, what are your thoughts about real estate investing? Do you think it's easy? Do you think it's hard? Do you think it's for you? And add to the conversation. But we'll be here next week. Eddie, any closing comments?
For anybody who does not want to do real estate full time, they want to get into landlording, buy a property, buy a 2-unit property, 3-unit property, multiple unit property, live in one of the units, rent out the other units, and then eventually move, and then buy another one. And keep doing it. Keep your regular day job. But get that cash flow coming in.
That makes sense to me. All right. Well, this has been Money Mondays. I'm Kamari Ellis. That's Eddie Colson. And we will be back next week at 7:30, same Blab time, same Blab channel. Have a great week. So long.
Peace.